986.
All right. Well, I kind of fessed up there about mine, and as Debbie said, maybe it was a positive thing that happened in your life. It could have been something a little knuckleheaded like I did, or whatever the case may be. We've all got those reminders on our bodies and even on our hearts about injuries that we have incurred during our lives. So if you would like to share one, feel free to do so. We can always look at a spiritual angle of this. I certainly learned a lesson, although I wasn't deeply spiritual at the time. I look back now and I thank God for the fact that it did not end up any worse for me. But the number again is 833-288-3986. You've obviously had a few minutes to ponder this, and now the phone lines have just blown up there. We do have a couple that are still open there if you'd like to get in the first group of callers. 833-288-3986. You can email take2@EWTN.com. If you're watching the video stream on YouTube or Facebook, greetings to you wonderful folks there. You can post your comments there. You can text the letters EWTN to 55000. Wait for a response. Put in your first name and your SCAR story. There might be a small data rate. You can also post on the show website, take2show.com.
We have one of our loyal listeners, Mike, who just sent in a picture of a scar that's forming as I'm looking at it right now in the paint department of a hardware store. So there you go. See, people are getting scars all over the place. We want to hear this real time. We want to hear the backstory. Tell us. This is your show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. 833-288-3986. Call us.
Marktail an Ernia, Marktail an Catholics.
Sindiniki, Katolikkuniki. Vivamos la verdad. Vivamos católicos.
In any language, it means the same. Live truth. Live Catholic. EWTN.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
There's all kinds of idolatry. If you love yourself more than your neighbor, it's kind of idolatry. We had a lot of idolatry. All the New Agers say everybody's God. I told you, I thought that picture of Mrs. Buddha. Did you ever see that picture of Mrs. Buddha? She didn't call herself that, but she had rolls and rolls of fat like Buddha does sometimes, and she called herself a goddess. That's idolatry. See? I think there are other kinds of idolatry. For example, if a man works so hard he neglects his family, isn't that a kind of idolatry? You want to get ahead? You're going after a thing. And to the neglect of your family, your children, your loved ones. That's a kind of idolatry.
For more information on Mother Angelica, visit Religious Catalog at EWTNRC.com.
Do you Roku? Roku is a small black box that allows you to instantly stream EWTN to your TV. All you need is a high-speed internet connection, a TV, and the Roku player. For more, visit EWTN.com/Roku.
Well, we're going to get to your SCAR stories here in a moment. We do have some lines, a couple lines that are still open. We would love to hear from you about, how something happened in your life that you have a permanent remembrance of on your body somewhere. 833-288-3986. We're going to get to your calls momentarily. I just want to tell you, first of all, about a new book from EWTN Publishing. I'll tell you, EWTN Publishing is coming out with some great works, and you might want to consider this one because of a lot of the things that are going on, not just in the world, but there's turmoil and there are problems in the church today as well. The book is called You Shall Stand Firm, Preserving the Faith in an Age of Apostasy, by Father William Casey of the Fathers of Mercy. He presents 4 fundamental facts of our existence and 4 ways to experience God's healing, peace, and mercy. Challenging and enlightening, it exposes the horrors of communism, reveals the truth about critical race theory and its dark objective to sabotage America's foundation, offers genuine solutions to the church's moral crises and vocation shortage, and provides authentic answers to tough questions on marriage and sexuality based on church teachings. You Shall Stand Firm, Preserving the Faith in an Age of Apostasy, by Father William Casey, available at EWTNRC.com. Buy Catholic, shop EWTNRC.com.
One open phone line. It's for you, 833-288-3986. And since Jerry shared something that he did to himself, I'll share one as well. I shared this a couple of years ago. My parents said, do not hang out with all your friends who have mopeds. Okay, mopeds back in the day, folks, was a big thing. It was like the first little mini motorcycle gang. But it made me feel like I was like in Italy on Vespas or something. Anyway, my friends all had mopeds. And so I left one day and I ran down the street and jumped on John's moped. And the reason why I say his name John is because he actually does some voice work and some things for EWTN. I found that out later. So John, if you're listening, it's your moped that caused this, and you know that. I jumped on the back of his moped and he said, be careful of the tailpipe, the tailpipe that sticks out. And I wasn't careful, and my leg stuck to it. And it burned, and I have a scar all the way down from like from my halfway down to my ankle, from my knee down to my ankle. So probably about 4 inches, and that was so I was embarrassed to go home and tell my parents because I thought I was going to get in trouble. So of course I dragged out all the olive oil and all the stuff that my mother, the home remedies to try and heal it, and it healed quite well.
Good.
Yeah, but I learned my lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We do learn those lessons, don't we?
Yeah. I was only like, 14? I mean, how old were you with the shower incident?
I was about 16, 17, I think.
Oh, you were a lot older.
Yeah, I think I was 18. Yeah.
Really? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay, so that's our stories. We can share more, but we want to hear from you. So Dennis is up first in Ann Arbor, Michigan, listening on Ave Maria Radio. Hi, Dennis. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
Howdy. Go for it.
My scar story was from Holy Thursday of 2004. And we had been I had lectured, this is at our church that evening, and I was scheduled to lecture on Good Friday and also on Easter, filling in for somebody. And we had the dinner with our 3 kids, and I think they were 6, 9, and 12 at the time, I think. And my daughter said, "Dad, didn't you say that you wanted to go see Passion of the Christ the second time?" We had been the first time with Al Cresta and Teresa Tomeo. My wife won tickets there, and Al was narrating the Passion. This was midway through. Said, "Yeah, I did." And so afterwards we went, and on the way there, I told my wife, "This is why I think it's important we're seeing the Passion the second time." And within a minute, we were at a 4-way stop. 2 people came up and stopped. This is after me. I pulled out and were T-boned on my side by a drunk driver, unlicensed, unregistered, it's uninsured, and I didn't work for a year. And I said, but I ended up with 2 broken legs and a broken ankle, and 23 days in the hospital, and a 5 months in a wheelchair, which definitely gives you a dose of humility in that situation. He says, but fortunately, says I was the work that I had a team of people that rallied behind me. Says, and it didn't really affect me that much in terms of income, but and he even had 2 people that offered. He says they were friends, females that offered. He says to do my sales business for me for nothing. But he says it was so I've got about a 15-inch scar to the outside of my left leg. It says I've got scars. 2 of them is from the hardware at my right knee, and scars in both sides of my ankle as well. But I've healed, and it brought our family closer together.
Wow. Well, praise God for that, Dennis, and thank God it wasn't worse than that for you or for other members of your family. But boy, yeah, you're kind of a walking scar now, it sounds like. That is just absolutely amazing. And I'm sure when you look back on that, you were talking about the Passion of the Christ and probably relating to the suffering of Jesus and all of that. Well, you certainly got a classic opportunity to unite yourself and your sufferings with him, didn't you?
I sure did. and to empathize with people even more than I had previously.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's actually what I was going to share as well. You were given, an incredible opportunity. I mean, painful one, but an incredible opportunity to do that. And so, when you look at the scars, do you automatically go back to Holy Thursday 2004, Dennis?
Well, I think about it because most days, particularly the 15-inch one on the outside of my left leg there, says that bothers me. Says that makes me think about it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Yeah, these reminders, it's very interesting because they do stay with us, and that was traumatic what you all went through. Thank God you're alive. Did you feel was there any angelic help there during the whole process?
Well, it's interesting because the fellow that hit me, he blew like a 0.20% on blood alcohol content, and he had been in an accident 7 years before when he was 16. He was 23 at the time. He says where he was the only survivor. His uncle had taken him out on a Saturday afternoon, I don't know, to go to the store for whatever, his 21-year-old uncle, and they were hit by a mother who was drunk and her three kids, and his uncle who was driving the car he was in, and the mother and her three kids all died, and he had a severe leg injury himself. And there was a story that from our church because they'd had a break-in to steal rice bowls. They broke this as like a glass window, stole the rice bowls somebody had that the kids had. It says that were turning in. It says on Easter there, and a local person, it says, who was a half-time realtor and half-time did some other things, but she said, well, she worked for a newspaper, the hometown newspapers in Michigan, Lower Michigan, and said, well, do you have any other stories other than this? And he told him, our priest told him the stories is about the human interest story about us. And it made it into like 4 local papers in like a 30-mile radius. And the young man, he said, that caused the accident read it and sent a deeply apologetic and heartfelt apology, and said that I hope that you, from your stories, is that seem like a man of faith, I hope at some point in your life you'll be able to forgive me.
Wow.
And it was that probably had more to do with my healing psychologically than anything else.
I'll bet. Yeah. Wow. Somehow, the Bible says, God brings good out of everything. All things work to good for those who love God. And it just sounds like some amazing spiritual things happen through all of this, as is so often the case, and we look back and we can see it then. At the time, certainly not all that visible, but those wonderful things happen in this situation, Dennis. Thanks for sharing and being part of the program today. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
You too.
Stay well, Dennis. Stay strong. Mike, who was driving through California, please call back. You were first up, and then you dropped. So if you're listening, I know it's busy in California. You have very packed roads. We understand that. Jerry lives in California. But maybe you could call us back, and Matt would push you up to the front of the line. We have one of our listeners, Jerry, that just texted in. She's a dear, dear friend of Take Two, and we love her to pieces. She's amazing. And she was sharing that she has some scars, and that she both loves the scars, but she also doesn't like the scars. So it's very interesting what happens in the mind and psychologically and emotionally when you see the visible signs of what's left from an event, a situation, right, Jerry?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to hear a lot more, I think, powerful stories as well as we move along to Grant in Perrysburg, Ohio, listening on Annunciation Radio. Hi, Grant.
Well, hello there. How
Welcome.
are you two doing?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Good. Well, my story is that, and I'm in my late 70s now, but when I was we'll say preteen, junior high age, I was wrestling with a friend, fell backwards, put my arm out, and severely broke it. So off to the local doctor, small town at the time, And so parents got me there. I remember they went to a local grocery store and got cardboard boxes and so on, cut them up, and used it as a temporary splint so they could get me down to Mercy Hospital in Toledo. So that went along, got to the hospital and so on, and evidently my break was severe enough that they never said it for a week. They had me lying in bed and had my broken arm on a pillow. So I lived, and the only problem I had with that was some of the other young people in the area would come and jump on the bed. So things that happened. So then after the week, they didn't amputate. They they set the arm. And about a week later, they came in, cut that cast off, and there were a lot of blisters and so on in the crease of my arm, opposite the elbow, and so on. They eventually all became an unusual scar, but then they reset my arm again. And the one thing, I was in the hospital for a full 3 weeks before I came home. Oh. And the one thing you'll remember at the end, they said, you have to watch out from now on, because if you break that arm again, there's a chance that they will have to amputate it. So, you're living with that the rest of your life. At that age, when it happened, they were prepping me to be the junior high quarterback.
Oh, boy.
I was done with. Things happen. Mm-hmm. So that was sort of the end of a lot of the different sports. I became a manager and, did things like that when I was in high school. But it's just part of life. Mm-hmm. So part of the thing that you learn, because my arm now only bends halfway, my left arm. It doesn't. Right. So as my wife says, she's never seen anybody put a coat on the way I do. But you compensate. If you have a disability, you normally compensate for it, and you don't think about it.
Right. You get stronger in other ways, and yeah, absolutely. Grant, a couple things. So I have to ask you this question, because I think the worst sound I've ever heard is when a break happens and you hear that pop. When you were wrestling your friend, did you hear that pop?
No, I don't even. I just remember how it was happening and what I did, but I don't remember any kind of noise or anything,
Right. And then did you say they had to re-break it, to reset it? Mm-hmm. Did they have?
Yes.
Wow. So you went through 2 traumas. Oh my goodness. And now, wow. And then, like you said, it stopped, a lot of your sports dreams and stuff like that. Right. But now you have this kind of a bit of a compromise, right? But you live with it, you live through it. And how do you use this opportunity to minister to others? Because there's a lot of people out there I know that just are facing different things in their lives and they don't know how to adjust. Have you had those encounters where you've met up with people and you could say, "Hey, let me share my story with you"?
Right. Well, with a lot of people that even don't have them, I have a sort of a statement that I use to a lot of them. I say, we all have a disability. Some of us just don't know what it is yet.
Good point.
And I'm talking physical, mental, a lot of things, because every morning when I pray the rosary, not only for Ukraine is number one, but then I pray for the people with physical problems that are near death.
Right.
And then I pray for the people with mental problems that are... That's another disability.
Absolutely.
It is. Mm-hmm. One that's unfortunately increasing, it seems like, in the world today. Grant, God bless you. Keep putting that coat on as best you can. And thank you so much for being part of this conversation today. Yeah. This is,
I like that.
I think we're all being blessed a whole lot by the phone calls that we're getting so far. And we got a lot more to get to. Grant, God bless you in Perrysburg, Ohio today. We appreciate you being part of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. 833-288-3986, asking you for your best scar story today. Kind of a little different topic, but one that is having a very impactful conversation here on EWTN Radio. Stay with us.
Have you ever heard someone say, you've got to believe in yourself? G.K. Chesterton says the people who believe in themselves are all in lunatic asylums. You have to believe in something outside yourself. You have to believe that there's a greater reality than the one inside your head. If the only thing you believe in is yourself, your world will become very small, about the size of a padded cell. We live in a world that rejects the worship of the one true God and has substituted something called the God within. But as Chesterton says, if Jones is told to worship the God within, it ultimately means that Jones shall worship Jones.
Spend more time with the Apostle of Common Sense. Visit chesterton.org for more information and go to EWTNRC.com to discover more books and programs written and inspired by G.K. Chesterton.
This is Jerry Usher. If you missed part of today's show, catch the encore tonight at midnight Eastern. Check out the podcast anytime at EWTNradio.net and click podcasts.
The most original and exclusive Catholic content is on EWTN Radio.
I'm Michael O'Neill, the Miracle Hunter. This week on The Miracle Hunter, we talk with Kristen Van Uden about St. Peter Claver. Also, author Kevin Simmons discusses the consecration of Russia.
The Miracle Hunter with Michael O'Neill. Saturday afternoon, 1 Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Hi, this is Janet Williams. We embrace the essence of feminine spirituality on Women of Grace tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern here on EWTN Radio. Now, back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
All right, you're with Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio, talking about scar stories today. And we will continue with your phone calls here momentarily. Let me check in. Yeah, we got some social media coming in.
A lot of it.
Linda, watching on Facebook, says, I have 4 scars that are from having my 4 beautiful children through C-sections. So my scars, like my children, are true gifts from God, and I cherish them. Wow, Linda, that is beautiful.
That's what I was talking about, that great event that you have a visible sign of. That is wonderful. We're getting a lot of people saying, I'm not the only one that had my leg burned on a tailpipe or side pipe of a vehicle or a motorcycle. I'm not the only one, so I feel better now.
Good.
Could somebody text in and let us know that you put your hand through a shower door so Jerry can feel better?
No, don't, please. I hope I don't have to hear that from anybody else.
No, that's true. That's true. Although I will tell you, those shower doors are not put on well. And I've seen people get lightheaded. And have you heard those stories where people lean a little too much and the shower door comes right down?
Yeah.
They're dangerous.
Colin from Ireland said, I have a slight dent between the shoulder blades. I was making my way home in Northern Ireland. There was, quote, trouble in the city. I unfortunately was hit with a baton round. Thankfully, It was not my head. That is Colin from Ireland. And Mary, watching on YouTube, says, upon reflection of this so many years later, I know our guardian angels protect us. That's music to your ears, Debbie, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Oh, I couldn't agree more with that. I would have been in big trouble if the angels didn't step in. Okay, so back to the phones we shall go. Mary Lou is waiting so patiently in Rochester, New York, listening on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Mary Lou.
Good afternoon, both of you.
Hi there.
Nice to talk with you.
Likewise.
My story is when I was in grade school. I was in 3rd grade, and my sister and I were going to the library with another friend on our bicycles. And we were riding along, and all of a sudden, I end up on the ground. And I stand up, and I see this trail of blood going down my leg. And so I said, oh my. And what happened, my uncle gave me this bicycle for my first Holy Communion in 2nd grade, and they didn't cut about almost a 2-inch screw off the front wheel. So when I went up in the air and came down, my leg went onto the screw that was coming off the bicycle. My sister said, well, you go on home. We're going to go to the library. So I did, leaving a trail about 2 blocks to my house. And when I got there, my mother was ready for work, all dressed in her uniform and apron. And she said, now what happened? She said, so the doctor was right next door. and there was this trail of this thing hanging out of my leg. So Dr. Volk says, "You don't need that," so he just cuts it off. And he put 16 stitches in my leg just below the knee. And that I've had several things happen to me, but that one I thought was a little, everyone was calm. Nobody was screaming. Nobody was having, any kind of a fit. My sister said, "Oh, well, you go home. We'll go to the library." So and my mother was always very calm about everything. So that's my story.
Yeah, well, it's so interesting, Mary Lou, that you've related some of these details about the calmness and the sort of the matter-of-factness, I think what you said, it was your sister, whoever it was. Well, you just go on home. We're just going to go to the library. No big deal. Your mom was calm about it. The doctor says, "You don't need this. I'm going to cut this away." It seems like, I don't know if it's just me. It sounds like your story is kind of similar, that back in the day, as they say, things, we sort of rolled with things a little bit more. Now, there would be, I think, a lot more panic and, a lot more to do about some of these things. And, there's certainly nothing wrong with that, but it just sort of reminds me of an age when things were just, we sort of kind of rolled with things like this a little bit more. Debbie, I don't know what you think, if I'm making any sense or not. But.
Oh, I completely agree. As you said it, Mary Lou, and then Jerry commented on it, I was thinking back. It seems like when an emergency happens, everything kind of goes into slow motion, doesn't it? It's really interesting. I used to see it in my family. My family was like all over the place. We were very, very demonstrative, emotional. We just have a lot of passion. But when something serious happened, it very much calmed down, and everybody went into kind of, mode of trying to make sure everything was going to get fixed and things get better. Especially my dad. It was amazing how he would slow everything down, because he was a medic in the Navy, and he just knew. He went into action like that, and everything would completely calm down. So that's so interesting you said that. Do you I can actually see some of the things that happened when I was younger, like what you're talking about, your age, third grade, and I can actually go back to that, where you can almost feel that time slowed up. Do you ever do that, Mary Lou?
Yes, I do that quite often. Mm-hmm. And I will have to say that if this would have happened to one of my three sisters, they would have been much more, as you say, demonstrative than myself. But my mother still said, "Now calm down." And it's just, the doctor was next door, Dr. Volk. We lived in Attica, a little village. And my mother probably told the doctor, "I'll bake you an apple pie." So that we did that with the doctor, because we were poor. Mm-hmm. And so we bartered.
Yeah. I thought, that is so great. We need to go back to bartering. I really think so. I think it really builds community. What do you think about that, Mary Lou?
I think you're absolutely right, because I can remember many times the three of us breaking the laws for Mrs. Volk, or running to the store, doing something in return for what Dr. Volk would do for us.
Oh.
Beautiful.
I like that. I really like that. That feels right. Mary Lou, you're precious. Thank you so much for contributing to the SCAR broadcast today. We appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Well, you're very welcome, and thank you.
God bless you. Reminds me of a story that just came back to my mind. My sister and I were riding bikes with a couple of other friends. I was younger than third grade. I don't know how old I was, maybe 6 or 7 years old, on the streets of Seattle. And we were going down a hill, and I yelled up to my sister. I says, I'm going too fast. What do I do? Do I pedal or what? She goes, "Just coast." And I didn't know what coast meant. And so I got really panicky, and I went over the handlebars, and I still have a scar on the bottom of my chin.
Oh.
And we had to go to the hospital and get some stitches. And the only thing my sister was concerned about, she says, "We were going to go have ice cream, and now we can't." See, talk about, being not panicked over us. She's like, "Come on, little brother."
Yeah. Mary's like, "Can we still get the ice cream?"
Yeah.
What? That is so cute, though. You didn't know what coast meant.
Yeah, I didn't know what it meant to coast.
Oh, that's, yeah. See, we've got to explain things when we're riding bicycles. Okay, let's, can we hear what David has to say? David's a first-time caller, and David's calling in from Wisconsin, listening on Sirius XM 130. Okay, David, you got to top Mary Lou's story. Take it away.
I think I can top it. But first of all, I just want to say how much I like listening to your show, and encourage all the listeners to support EWTN. I've been supporting them financially, spiritually since Mother Angelica was on cable back in the 80s. So just a shout out.
Thank you.
Yeah. And
Thank you, David.
It's really helped me through a lot of tough times and, get to a much holier place in my life. But anyway, I got a great story for you. When I was 13 years old, I worked for my dad at a supper club, and we had just an amazing fish fry every Friday night. We had a beer batter fish recipe that we got from a fisherman in Canada, and it just filled up our restaurant. It's how we supported, my dad supported 7 kids during the 70s and 80s. But anyway, I was 13, cleaning the fryer at the end of the night, 450 degrees, and my hand slips in the fryer. I pulled it out, and the skin melted off of the back of my knuckles all the way to about halfway up my arm and the back of my hand. So my skin melted, and I just laid on the floor in shock and started screaming. And, of course, everybody's got their own remedies for a burn like that. Now they put steak on it. They put butter on it. I think someone was trying to put margarine on it. And my mom finally screamed at my dad and says, "Get that boy to the emergency room right now." So we go down there, and now the skin is really seriously melted. There's no hair. And they said I had to go to the burn center in Milwaukee, which is a little over an hour. And my dad says, "You treat that kid right now." And so they did, and my hand was in ice water for several hours. As I was in shock, they would give me no painkillers because I was in shock. So, and my dad was there holding my hand, and I was just basically couldn't cry anymore. There were no more tears. There was so much pain. So then started to subside by about 3 in the morning. My uncle came over and gave me his prized Johnny Unitas football card that Johnny Unitas had given him. They had felt so bad. But anyway, so we were getting close to Thanksgiving, and my dad was worried that I wouldn't be able to help because I basically ran his kitchen for him. So we went to Father Beer, who is an old pre-Vatican II lovely priest. He blessed my hand, special blessing on my hand, and in 2 weeks it healed and I was working.
Wow.
Now, they told me I needed skin graft. All the skin came off. I could see my bones and my muscles. And as the skin grew back, every day it would crack, and all the knuckle areas would bleed. And just an enormous amount of pus. But it was really cool being able to see your muscles and your tissue. But we really believe we had a miracle because my skin literally healed about 4 times faster. They told me it would be months before I would use my hand. And that I needed skin grafting. So I was going to be going for skin grafting, and that's when Father Beer blessed my hand, and it started to heal quickly. So,
wow.
Yeah, and another thing, you were talking about your going over your handlebars on your bike.
Mm-hmm.
I did that when I was a kid, too, and had blood all over my body. But I was driving a moped going around a corner really fast, and I got hit head-on when I was 19 years old. I jumped off the moped, rolled up over the car, never got injured, and a priest gets out of the car.
Oh, boy.
And I said, "Father, if someone's going to hit me, I would want it to be you." And my moped literally was unrecognizable that it was even a bike at all. The tires weren't even round. Completely destroyed.
Interesting.
Isn't it amazing? Debbie talks all the time about guardian angels, and that was sounds clearly like a case of yours being with you there, David, on that situation. But what an amazing story about your arm, and here again, bringing the spiritual angle into this. That priest blessed you, and God is waiting to heal us. That's one of the ministries of our priests, is to be able to bring that healing to us. And what an incredible story. That's a lot for someone your age to go through.
Yeah.
David.
Yeah. I just want to say, David, you're kind of living up to your name, the name David. You definitely are experiencing life to the fullest. That's for sure. And I just want to say, David, thank you for, you definitely, I think you got you got the trophy for the best, the best story, but the virtual trophy, we don't really give out anything, that you can actually, put on a shelf. It's virtual. So you have to use your imagination. But David, here's the thing. I will never complain again about the tiny little scar that I have on my ankle. And I'm sure Jerry's never going to complain again of the tiny scar he has on his chin, because after hearing your story, wow, pretty incredible what you went through and the recovery and the miracles. It's amazing. Do you tell your story often?
I have over the years, not that much lately. Speaking of burns, one time at a restaurant, one of our waitresses poured a hot cup of coffee, which is about 170 degrees, on a 4-year-old child, and I was right there when it happened. And I ripped the child's shirt off in a split second, and he didn't get one single burn.
Oh, wow. Praise God for that.
When you get those when you get those kind of burns, you gotta get clothes off. You got to get the clothes off right away. My wife spilled boiling water all over her shirt and her pants, and I took her shirt and pants off so fast she never knew what hit her. She still had massive scalding burns, but I saved her from, even worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow.
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
You're a quick thinker.
Yeah, yeah. It's probably good we learn all of the things, because you never know what you're going to encounter. That's a good point, David. I remember we used to take those CPR classes, Jerry, when you would go, you'd go to work at a restaurant or something, and they'd have you take CPR classes, all that kind of stuff. We should learn all these techniques in case there is an emergency situation.
Yeah,
that's really interesting. Maybe we could do a show on
Jerry, I love your story about cold water in the shower, because I've done that a lot to my wife over the years, and it always gets a big sigh in the shower, and then things are then she's like, "I'll get you back," and she always does.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't do the cold anymore. Now I just put a little bowl of water on above the door, and then when they move the door, the water falls on them.
Well, you're a little bit of a prankster too then, David, it sounds like.
Or what's really good is you put a rubber band around the sprayer in the sink, and then tell the kids you want a glass of water.
Too much.
Okay, we have a prank show coming up around April 1st. So, David, you'll have to call back and share some of that, okay?
You guys have a blessed day.
You do the same. God bless you, David. 833-288-3986. We're going to get to Rob here momentarily on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, talking about your best scar story. If you've got one you'd like to share, well, as they say, top that one right there. But we're learning a lot, too. We're learning a lot, not just about the physical things that happen to us, but the lessons that we learn and the role that God plays, Debbie, in a lot of these situations in our lives. It could be, sounds like a whole lot worse.
Absolutely. Did you see how we have 3 Michaels right in a row on YouTube?
Did. Yeah.
That is so cool. 3 Michaels, Michael J, Michael M, and Michael P. That is so awesome. And then Mario, thank you so much. We'll get to your comments. And Jerry, I know you want to share something with our listeners.
Yeah, well, the Fathers of Mercy, I mentioned Father William Casey's book earlier, and the entire community, the Fathers of Mercy, have an hour program on EWTN Radio Sunday morning, 4 Eastern Time, and Monday at midnight Eastern Time on EWTN Radio. The preaching order, the Fathers of Mercy, provide these excellent parish missions and retreat talks featuring Father William Casey, Father Wade Menezes, and others. That's the Fathers of Mercy Hour, twice a week on EWTN Radio, Sunday mornings at 4 Eastern Time, Mondays at midnight Eastern Time.
Michael J says, got an L-shaped scar on my knee from a car accident over 20 years ago. And Michael M said, I still have a scar when I was 19 whittling bamboo. I tell youngsters that have scars on my body. I tell youngsters that I have scars on my body older than they are. Yeah, I say that too, Michael. That's interesting. Wow.
Michael P. says, I actually have a toe amputated back in the fall of 2017. Need to keep my diet low sodium. And then he adds, I think, an important comment here. He says, abortion leaves a scar on society. Pray for healing for those who are affected by this horrible, quote-unquote, procedure. And Mario says, I have a scar under the chin from early 1980s when a girl tickled me and I fell on my face from 4 feet height. Monkey bars or monkey ladder, and a scar on my right knees when a guy on the infield ran over my knee, luckily tearing just the skin, leaving the socket intact in the run over.
Okay, so Mario, your story would have been fantastic if you had said that as you said, a little girl tickled you and she caused the chin to off the monkey bars or whatever, the monkey ladder. It would have been great if you said, and then I ended up 20 years later marrying her.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great stories. Look at that. You guys are awesome. Thank you to all the Michaels coming in strong on YouTube. We're waving to you guys. Okay, Rob is going to finish this great broadcast off with his story from Sioux City, Iowa. Siouxland Catholic Radio is the way Rob is listening. Rob, take it away. No pressure, but go ahead.
Are you there?
We are here. Welcome, Rob. Thanks for joining us.
Well, good morning. I love your show. Just got quick story. I have no scars, but I'm 61 now. When I was 3, my parents had moved into a big, beautiful home because there were 5 of us kids. And so my dad had worked, fixed it up, and invited all these friends over. And they were in the backyard. I'm guessing 30, 40 couples, friends of theirs. So my mom took me and my older brother, Scott. I was 3, he was 6, gave us a bath, put our pajamas on us, took us to our bedroom, which overlooked the backyard where this big barbecue housewarming party was going. And I had my face up against this old screen that had the clips that would open and come off. And I had my face up against the screen, and my brother Scott hit these clips, and out the second-story window I went in front of all these people.
Oh, my.
And I landed on the concrete sidewalk, and to this day, not so much anymore because a lot of the folks are up in heaven, but when I was a kid, they'd see a few of us and they'd say, "Now, which one fell out the window?" But I kind of landed on all fours, never broke a bone. My mother thought I was dead because I dirtied my pants on the way down, but back in those days, it would have been 63. Doctors came to the home, and I remember Dr. Bo pulling up out in front of the house, screeching his brake, parking his car. He didn't even park his car, and he came in, looked at me, said, "Everything's okay." And my mother's name was Delphine, and he just said, "Delphine, keep an eye on his stools. Everything's okay." So I just thought I'd share that. No scars, but I fell out of a second-story window, and it's a great story to this day.
Yeah, it's an amazing story, Rob. Did anybody have any kind of an idea why nothing broke or nothing bad happened to you? I mean, that's. I could see if you fell on the grass, or the yard or something, but you said you fell on the concrete sidewalk.
That's a
Was there
miracle.
any speculating as to? I mean, this sounds like nothing other than divine assistance, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was probably my guardian angel. I mean,
that's right.
And yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of guessing. It was probably 15, 16
feet.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't hear him. Did you hear him? What did he say? How many feet?
Are you still with us, Rob?
Are you with us, Rob?
We may have lost him there, but I think he was probably talking about
head open or nothing.
There he is.
Oh, there it is. Okay, Rob, say it again. Was it 15, 16 feet and you were 3 years old hitting the concrete?
Yes. I'm guessing 15, 16 feet. Down I went, and again, we were saying goodnight to all these people, and they're looking up at the window, and then all of a sudden they see me come out of the window like I was going to go flying or something. And
oh my goodness. Rob, I just have to believe your guardian angel. It was positioning you on the way down to land on you said on all fours. I mean, it had to have been, Rob. When you think about that. It's almost impossible, actually, what happened to you. That is such a miracle. I think, thank goodness, your guardian angel was so quick to make sure little Rob, at that time, 3 years old, was able to land safely. I think it's wow. The only thing now, I'm not trying to be facetious or anything, but I just have to, because that's how my brain works. So when you said family, when friends come back over, they said, "Is that the one that went? The one that fell?" What was the atmosphere? What was the atmosphere in the home? Did your parents ever tell you what went on, like the conversation when it was all happening?
Not really, but I do remember them saying they'd never seen a party break up so fast in their lives. Yeah.
That's what I was getting to. People were like, "I'm out of here. I don't want to get thrown out of a window."
Spoiled a lot of appetites. Yeah.
Right. Oh, Rob, you got to laugh at it, because you said you're 61 years old. So this is a great story to tell. I think it's a great story to tell everybody to believe in Psalm 91 and to meditate on Psalm 91, that everybody has a guardian angel, Rob. There you go.
Oh, yes. Yep. And again, my mother thought I was dead because I dirtied my pants, and we kind of joke about that it scared the you-know-what out of me when I fell.
Oh,
apparently, yeah.
Oh,
well, yeah. I hope nothing worse than that has happened in your life subsequent to that, Rob.
Nope, nothing worse. And actually, I've got a good excuse when people say I might do something stupid or crazy, is say, "Yeah, I'm crazy. I fell out of a window." So, but that's the way we joke about it.
I'm just curious about early trauma, because 3 years old, that would be a traumatic event. Do you have any fear of heights or anything like that?
Not at all. Not at all.
Beautiful. See,
No.
See, I do believe it was your guardian angel then. Absolutely. What do you think, Jer?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, well, a fall probably got rid of any fear of heights that there would have possibly been. Rob, thank you so much for being part of the program. As Debbie said, that will bring it to a close. You hear the closing music there. Tomorrow is National Middle Name Day, and we're going to talk about the significance of our middle names. I have 2 of them. I look forward to sharing those with you tomorrow on the show. Deb?
Absolutely, I do as well. And John, we're not going to get to you and the others. Thank you so much, though. What a great day we had today on Take 2, talking about scars. We'll revisit this again for sure, but until tomorrow, have a beautiful and blessed day. St. Joseph, please pray for all of us.
The most original and exclusive